What were we talking about before?
Episode 32.
Oh, wow.
We're talking about modules and analog synth voices. Yeah.
Wait, we're up to 32.
We're up to
Holy
32.
shit.
Yep.
Nah, that seems like a lot.
People have listened to 32 episodes of our bullshit.
That's like a whole day plus of listening to us. Yeah.
Non-stop us.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's too much of us.
Way too much.
Or is it just not enough?
Could be the case.
We got to give people more.
Will people in the future do like Twin Peaks and do marathons of listening to us?
Oh, God.
Wow.
The faces, oh.
If someone does, I want to know about it.
Yeah.
I want to hear from this person. Like, hey, I was on an international flight to Australia, and I just listened to your guys' podcast the entire time. I'm like, damn, I want to know about that.
So if anybody's gone full dumpster so far, just let us know.
I mean, maybe they have, but there's like, they just snapped at the end. Like, there was no way for them to communicate this task that they had done, they had finished, because they just ran into the woods naked and never to be seen from again.
Why won't they make the Octa track they should have made?
Why won't they just re-release the fucking Machinedrum already? God, can't handle this. God damn.
Speaking of electrons,
Electrons.
the Elektron Corner has some activity this episode.
That's true. It's true.
We've both received Elektron machines, one old, one new.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
Something borrowed, something blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your hair is blue.
True.
Holy shit.
It's all come together.
It is. We just haven't borrowed anything.
I don't know what it is, but it's come together.
It is. I feel it.
It's like the Da Vinci Code.
This is the Lost Dan Brown short story.
Before we dip in an Elektron, we forgot to mention over the last 2 episodes, we're on YouTube now.
We are.
We are, yeah.
People should be aware, I feel. We've painstakingly uploaded our entire back catalog to the tubes.
Mm-hmm.
Added some amazing visuals from Dave.
Whoa, last name.
Oh shit. From Dave.
Appreciate that
8-cylinder.
sentiment.
Yeah. To go along with it. So you don't have to look at us.
I should make some new video for that. I feel like we've used that one
We've
enough.
tapped them.
Yeah,
let me dry now for 32 episodes.
I'm gonna make a note to make some new videos. So, listeners, by all means, go get caught up. Watch those videos. Smash that subscribe button.
Smash that fucking subscribe button. Get us some numbers. We need some clout.
Leave comments.
We can get free Metropolixes.
Free Metropolix. Tell us things that we said that were not true. It's all good.
Yeah.
Wait, we got a comment?
We need that ad. Yes, you did.
And
I'm
it was
gonna pull it out. Yeah.
And someone did correct.
I got his name here. I told him on our last episode, a user named BestMan3N commented that you're fucking wrong, Dave. He didn't say that, but he said it nicely. He said
you could feel that.
He said you actually can rotate the steps of the Moskwa using, or the first step, I should say.
Yes.
Using CV input on the expander.
Which would, and thank you to this user, because I went back and I was like, yeah, that's exactly what that input allows you to do. Sort of moving that first step around, the whole thing spins around. It's exactly what you asked. And so here's a question. I was wrong.
Yes.
Does that mean I lied?
It means you must be punished now.
Yeah,
Okay, fair enough.
That's the important part.
You have to put your nose in the corner for the rest of the episode.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll be back. Let me know when I'm done. Let me know when I can come back. I do appreciate that feedback, and I'm sure I will be wrong again In this episode, probably. I'm
Yeah.
usually wrong in
I
some
usually
way.
am.
Smash that subscribe button and tell us how we're wrong.
Yeah.
We love to hear it.
Yeah. Maybe we'll send you a drink koozie.
Free koozie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, we should send them a drink koozie.
Sure.
I still have like 1 or 2 left.
Yeah, I have a few as well. So yeah, Best Man 3N. If you want a drink koozie, hit us up.
Yeah, you're gonna hit us up though. You gotta give us the addy. We're not gonna come to you.
Yeah.
We're not gonna hunt you down.
That's how it
Yeah.
works.
We should get some stickers made too. We talked about this it's like every 3 months. There's
Yeah.
we should get stickers and T-shirts made.
Yeah.
And then it gets nowhere.
True.
This is the motivation because we got to send this YouTube user, like a care package, and it can't just be a koozie. It has to be more than that.
You give me the art for the latest ones and I'll do the thing.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, I could just hit reorder on the stickers we made for NobCon. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
actually.
I think NobCon is usually our deadline. Like, oh shit, we got to get this done by NobCon. But
Right.
there hasn't been a NobCon for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Well,
There's one coming up.
there is
that
one
we're-
coming up, but we're not going.
Yeah.
I personally, I feel like this probably shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know. I see a lot of other conventions canceling. It doesn't seem like anyone from out of country can even come
Right.
at this point.
People
Borders are
canceling
still closed,
tours.
so-
Nine
yeah.
Inch Nails just canceled their
Yeah.
tour.
Yeah.
Trent Reznor even said, "Nope, gonna try to keep people safe." So
Yeah.
come on, suit and tie guy, just accept it. It can't happen. Can't happen yet. Shelve your ideas. Save them all up. We'll have a big crazy one in 2022.
Yeah, 2022, we're going to come out just absolutely hard.
It'll be
Like,
the NobCon revival.
yeah.
It'd be nuts.
And like it is clothing optional. It is like full on. Like we've been pent up. Haven't had this in a while.
Right.
It's just gonna be
Nerds in the nude.
Yeah. Nerds out the cage.
That's the theme. What was the one before like Oktoberfest or something? What the fuck was it before? There was that banner that had like nothing to do with the rest of the fucking
It's
con.
like September Fest.
It's like
Yeah,
a
I don't.
Big owl. I can't remember.
I don't
It's
remember
like
either.
blurry, as it usually is.
There was one that was like Indiana Jones themed. I thought that was like
Yeah, that was one of the first couple.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember they have themes until we go.
We can
Raiders of the Lost
just
Ark.
make them up.
That was
like
it, yeah.
Raiders of the Lost Knob.
Well, that was an album, The Lost Ark.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I thought there was one. Yeah, we should just make up our own.
Temples of
Was it Knobtoberfest?
Oh, maybe it was an October.
knobs.
So what? Okay. let's
Temple of Drone. Temple of
Temple of. I mean, the word we're trying to replace is Doom.
Yeah,
Which
is already pretty good already.
right,
Yeah.
right. But like,
accurately describes knobs.
yeah.
It do. That it do.
So wait, what were we talking about?
I don't know, but it wouldn't be an episode if we didn't shit talk NobCon.
Yeah.
So we got that out of the way.
And it's so
We're
close.
free to proceed from here.
Yeah.
Well, we were
anything
about to
goes.
shit talk Elektron.
Yeah.
So everything's
Oh,
lining
yeah.
up. We're in the groove now.
We sort of like expanded the scope of Elektron Corner. It's like the full room or half a room. What's it like what's it called? Like the breakfast nook. It's more like the Elektron breakfast nook at this point.
Just makes me want to go to NobCon and hang out at the Elektron booth. Why don't you put the machine drum back out?
When is there gonna be a Mono Machine Mark II, bro?
Come on.
I ask you this every year. You never give me an answer.
Can't you put probability in? It's like 2 lines of C. Oh, God.
Can you even imagine running one of those booths, especially one that like the Elektron one where everyone's going to stop and hit it up?
Oh, yeah. I'd run one with a taser. That's for sure. Be like, listen, come with focused questions or you get put the fuck down.
Right. Or like a whip. Going back to like the Indiana Jones theme, like a whip. Like if you, like I will chase you out of this booth with
you
this whip.
need the whip. The taser's going to run out of juice. But yeah, Rhythm Mark II, it's black. It makes drum sounds.
Is it black? 'Cause I thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Because I remember seeing the Mark IIs come out. Weren't they gray originally?
They were all
And
gray.
they changed it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now they don't do the gray anymore, just black.
Good.
Which I
The
like.
gray was ugly.
Oh yeah, it looks
Mhm.
bad. Doesn't look good.
was the sound engine improved like the Digitac?
I think it sounds better. They say
Okay.
it's the same internals. I think there's more bass definition, just like the Digitac. It sounds very clean. Even the reverbs are like much cleaner
Yeah.
than the one that I have. So it's definitely different in a good way. The fucking, I don't know why they swapped the function of the track buttons. And I thought I was going to be able to get over it, but hey, I'm going to keep my Mark 1, so they're always both going to be different, and it's completely fucking with me. To the point where I'm going to ask them just to put an option in. So can you just put it in the operating system that I can swap these behind the scenes and know just like, because I don't look at the label. I just need to know the track's at the fucking top. And it's not. It's fucking with me. Because I can't get used to it because I'm using both machines all the time. So that's kind of fucking annoying. I don't know why they did that. It makes no sense to me. They did redo the buttons up at the top, and they added more so you can get to like the ways you like edit certain things more easily.
The track selection has always annoyed me about the rhythm in the first place. In fact, I was just talking to you about that the other day, Dave. You made fun of me because it's literally just a 2-button combo, but it still was annoying.
Oh yeah.
Playing with the machine drum again reminds me of like how much faster it is on there.
Yeah.
I prefer that to the
And
how
they
you navigate
changed
the
it
rhythm.
now.
Yeah.
They changed it on the rhythm.
They changed
so
it yet
when you
again.
just hit the pad, it selects the track, which is fine, but that's not what.
Cool. That's what I always
I'm
wanted.
used to that button combo. I can do that.
Oh, really?
Like, it's in me.
I hated
Like-
that. I absolutely hated that.
And they
Like,
fucked with it.
Yeah.
Something that I know very well. And it's kind of fucking with me. Yeah. I don't know why they switched it. It's like they are trolling a certain group of people.
I would have preferred it that way personally.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, I can see the selection. I get
Yeah.
that. Now I'm getting like used to that. So maybe I won't need to fuck with the combo anymore, but it's
Yeah.
just like, I don't want to have to relearn that. It's like they put the whammy bar on the other side of the fucking guitar. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no, I've been using, it's a weird analogy. It still fits in my Pelican case, which is nice. I thought it wouldn't. It'll just barely fit in the 1500 that I had the Mark 1 in. I thought I was going to have to buy some new stupid thing.
Nice.
Quick performance is what fucking makes it. That knob, like the fact that you can assign a bunch of the performance pads to that knob and then just turn those and like do that in real time and select groups. So it makes it, I can transition completely differently on there and do different stuff. It opens up like playing it a lot. That was worth it alone. But something like they added this update to Transfer, the app that lets you back shit up. So you can finally back up the samples in your whole kit and the patterns now, and that's great. But I can't get the samples in the right order on my Mark 1 and the way they should be on the Mark 2. So I have to go in and like fix every fucking kit and
What do you
reassign the
mean?
samples. I don't know. They won't answer my post on the forum about it. I have no idea. Maybe it's because when I tried to do
Stellar
a backup.
Elektron support continues.
Oh yeah, it's so good. When I tried to do a backup of the Mark 1 of the samples, it was like, oh, a lot of these samples are corrupt, even though it
I remember you
plays
saying
just
that.
fine.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really get around that, but I had a backup. So like, cool, I've had all these samples for years now. I haven't really changed them much, but I have to manually fix them. And so it's just like, I let the Mark 1 play back the patterns as they should be, and I'm just using the Mark 2 to make new shit now, which is probably better anyway. But they claim like, oh, now zip up a project and send it to your friend. And it's like, that's all I'm trying to do. The friend being me, and I can't get it to fucking work. And they won't answer the thing, so I'm just kind of like, I'm just going to enjoy this thing. Because it does work. Like, there's no other, like, issue with it. The pads are way fucking nicer. It makes it easier to enter, like, sequences and chromatic stuff. I don't necessarily use it, like, it's not, like, better for MPC drumming. It's more just easier to record sequences and shit like that.
Yeah, they were so stiff on the Mark 1.
So bad.
Like,
They
trying to
still
use
are.
the performance pads to you know, I don't know, it's like very difficult to do because of how
Yeah.
stiff they were. But
It took me a couple of days to break these in because at first they wouldn't select quite that well, but now it's perfect. It seems really good.
If you didn't have either of them, and you were
Mhm.
starting from scratch or only got one, the Mark II would be where
Oh,
you would
yeah,
go?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you don't factor in price, you can still get the Mark 1 for like $700 on Reverb, which to me is like crazy deal.
That does sound like a good deal.
That's still the most ridiculous drum machine out there. The Mark II just solidifies it. The sampling is awesome. It made me, I was kind of wanting a Digitact, even though like your experience really put me off of it, especially with the updates, but this has really killed that lust for me. Even though I hope they add a second LFO to the rhythm. That would be tight. But yeah, I'm psyched on it. It's a good improvement.
wait,
I'm used to
there's
everything
still
else.
only one LFO?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know why of all the things like putting another one in there goes a long way.
Yeah. Especially because that's like the digital area of that
Yeah.
device. So like, I don't know.
You'd
It's
think
not like you're stealing from the analog voices or anything, I don't think.
that's what I would think too. Sounds fantastic though. I've been
Yeah.
digging just sitting on the couch with it, making new patterns and shit when I don't feel like going upstairs. So
Nice.
yeah, no regrets.
That's a generally positive thing from the Elektron corner right now.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, I'm totally enjoying it, especially for that quick perf, the better pads, and just the extra buttons that they've added and some niceties. It's like they did fix a lot that was kind of fucked up with it. I don't know why they swapped those 2 buttons, but whatever. It's a head fuck. Yeah.
I mean, maybe they did it with the intent of fucking with your head, and if that was the case, bravo.
Right.
They did it. They nailed the landing.
They fucking did.
Your head is fucked. Speaking of head fuckery, Greg,
Yeah,
you also have a contribution to Elektron Corner.
You do.
I do. I have to do a little bit of backstory though. It started out with the LXR
Truth.
2.
Can you do this in like a narrator voice, like the start of a movie, like
Deckard
exposition?
in Blade Runner.
Yes. I don't know what your narrator voice is. We've heard your God voice.
Maybe we could just have him speak regularly and then find an AI that can turn it into like deep fake narrator voice.
Yeah, I want
Yeah.
to be deep-faked.
That'd
Yeah,
be sick.
like James Earl Jones or like
Oh god.
yeah.
Simba. When will they release the Mono Machine Mark II?
Oh shit.
Well, we don't need to find anything. You can just do it. So finish your exposition in your James Earl Jones. We'll wait.
I can't. It would be disrespectful to Darth Vader for me to try and make that voice.
Oh, okay. So go on with your exposition.
My exposition. I wanted the LXR 2, Mark II. After we discussed it in our last episode, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I think I'm gonna make the jump. I think I had it on pre-order actually in the last episode, and then it just didn't arrive yet. But yeah, it finally arrived. I was a little disappointed with it. So, first thing I noticed right off the bat, which kind of tilted me a little bit, it's very minor, but annoyed me. The encoders were moving on their own. If I like adjusted a knob for a specific value, every once in a while, the value would jump up by one number for something that I wasn't touching the knob for. Like, say I was, adjusting the coarse tuning.
Yeah.
I would see like like the bit rate value or something adjust on a different value. I didn't commit to memory which values I saw changing on their own, but I definitely kept seeing things jump up by like a single digit.
So what's your intuition? Do you think it was hardware related or a software glitch?
Idea.
Have you heard of anyone else having this problem?
Didn't really look into it.
Okay.
It annoyed me.
Oh god, that would be maddening.
And I didn't remember that ever happening on the Mark One.
I've never had
so
that.
I was like,
Never had
okay.
that.
Yeah, never had that.
Also noticed some of the global effects didn't seem to be working properly, such as like the compressor and things like that. Some of them just didn't seem to be doing anything. I was like, what the hell? I don't know what that was all about. Aside from that, everything was seemingly okay. It was functioning like the Mark One, same old familiar territory. And I was like, okay, this is cool. It had a cool sound. I liked the FM drums, but I forgot that you can't change them. Like if I wanted, like like they're hard set what each drum is, unless you're using like the wave shape.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of annoyed me. Like sometimes I just want a bank of kick drums.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and like
yeah.
you can't really do that on there. You can do that on the TR-8S, and I remembered that you can do that on the machine drum. And I was like, you know what? Everything that I was kind of like wanting out of a drum machine just kept pointing me back to the machine drum. And I was like, okay, I just spent $600 on this LXR. It's not quite what I want. Do I really want to jump to double that price to get an old machine drum? And like I spent some time debating it, and eventually I came to the conclusion that yes I do. So I returned the LXR.
That would be so weird if the answer was no.
Yeah.
And that's where the story ended. You're like, no, I didn't get one.
No, but I did. So I returned the LXR. I feel like there isn't enough reason to get a Mark II right now.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe if they add any more substantial improvements over the Mark I, then go for it. But like the lack of the triggers, you know, and the CV triggers and the micro timing on the sequencing and things like that, it's actually like a step down. Yes, the sliders are nice, but that's about it. Other than that, I think you'd be better off getting a Mark 1 for very cheap right now. They're selling for like $400.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the Mark IIs came out. So
Oh,
they've dipped down in price.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I saw a couple going used on like Reverb and muffs for around $400, and I was like, that's a good fucking deal.
Yeah, they were $7 for a while.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say Mark II LXR, not worth it right now. However, a Machinedrum, still worth every penny. The prices have gone up steeply. I got mine for a few $100s less than what they are currently going on for Reverb that I see, because I got one off of Muffs, and the dude was really cool and willing to give a fair price instead of trying to compete with the super fucking inflated prices of Reverb right now. So I don't know if he wants me to, you know, say his name or anything, so I won't call him out. But yeah, 2 thumbs up to him for giving a fair deal. And so far, I'm loving the Machinedrum. I installed the new unofficial firmware, the X.04.
So what does that add?
It adds a few things, some of which I haven't really dipped into yet at all. It adds a couple. I put it in my notes here. A new spin on the GND machines are available. Like you got GND SN Pro, which is 4 sine oscillators. You got the SW sawtooth triangle with 3 variable waveform oscillators, GND PU, which is a pulse wave machine, adjustable ratio, and up to 3 oscillators as well. All of these GND machines have relative pitches for the additional oscillators and unison capability.
Nice.
And yeah, I was having a lot of fun just playing around with those and the new tweaks for them. On top of that, many of the currently existing machines gained a new tuning option for relative pitch. I haven't really played with that too much, but yeah, it implements like quarter tone equal tempered scaling of the pitch parameter.
Yeah, whereas before it was just 0 to 128 or whatever.
Right, and you had to
like
like play it by ear. But yeah, now it's a little more musical, which is cool. I've never used in the past, I've never used the Machinedrum as a synth, but you kind of can now. This allows you to dip in a little bit of territory that reminded me of the Mono Machine a bit. And just from my past experience with the Mono Machine, I was kind of fucking with the FM machines a little and trying to dial in some Mono Machine-like stuff. But it's cool. I think it kind of helps it compete a little with the rhythm in that you can use it as a synth, you know, which was really fun to do on the rhythm when I had one. And there's talk of other things coming in future releases. Like,
so wait, this is not an Elektron?
This is not an Elektron firmware.
So who is doing it?
I don't know.
Is this like an open source project, or is this like
I think it is.
Okay.
You can pull up who they are. I mean, it's posted on the Elektronauts forums, and it's getting like near official support.
Okay.
It seems,
but it's not like an ex-Elektron employee, or is it you know?
I was reading about this at one point, and then I don't know how that happened because I think somebody has the source code. I don't know. I'm not knowledgeable enough.
Someone by the name of Justin Valor, and he references a team, so I guess it's more than just him. Whoever they are, they're doing God's work. And big ups to them for breathing fresh life into a 20-year-old fucking machine.
Now, if you had their ear, and you know, they're obviously still working on it, what would you maybe ask them to add?
I had some ideas, most of which people are already asking for on the Elektronaut forum, so I'm just going to echo their thoughts as well. Individual track lengths would be awesome.
Yeah.
Also, probability be very nice.
Yeah.
I don't really. I mean, that would be cool, and it would bring it up to snuff with the other Elektron devices, but that's not a huge thing to me right now because I'm kind of sequencing it with my Polyend tracker.
Yeah.
So I can do probability via MIDI sequencing that way. So not a big deal to me, really. But I would like to see more per track effects. Like as it stands now, the reverb and the delay and the compressor, if I recall, are all global and only work if you're using the main stereo pair outs.
Yeah.
Which I'm not using. Like I have everything broken down into individual track outputs, and I'm
So
processing
those are
it.
not getting the master effects at all.
Not at
Those are
all.
just
All the
raw.
electrons on
Yeah.
it. They
Which I've
do
always
that.
hated.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've always fucking hated that. And I don't know, maybe if there's enough room in there, they could add like a per track delay, which is something that I thought was going to be in the LXR2 and was appealing to me, but it wasn't. The delay on the LXR2 is also global.
That sucks.
Same with the compressor and things like that. So it's very machine drum-ish in that way. I would love to see if, you know, even a shitty delay, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like something
yeah.
that could just get really tight and kind of nasty would per channel, or per track, I should say,
Right.
would be cool. But not a big deal. I'm currently running the individual track outputs through my own delays and shit like that,
Yeah.
through the modular and pedals. But, so yeah, I don't know. The machine drum as it stands, I'm enjoying it a lot. I don't feel like there's a whole lot I would ask for from a new firmware.
Nice.
It's just doing what it does. You know, at the time I got sick of the machine drum because I was leaning more towards a modular drum machine,
Yeah.
which is what I've been playing with conceptually for a couple of years now, which was fun. I you know, got a lot of, I don't know.
You made some tracks.
I made some tracks.
Yeah.
It was a fun experiment, but like, yeah, now it's too much to do.
That's
You
what
know
I'm
what I
at
mean?
with it.
Like, to even reproduce a fraction of what the machine drum can do in a modular would be thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like the machine drum is 16 sounds. You know what I mean? 16 tracks. Each one with its own filter. You know what I mean? And like parameters, and it's
Making another configuration in a modular is like a fucking nightmare, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas the rhythm or machine drum, you can just go to the next pattern in 1 second.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know. I would still do a voice or two, probably percussion wise, in the
Yeah,
modular, but
yeah.
for the
That's
most
different,
part,
though.
Totally.
I'm doing
Yeah.
it in the box now. You know,
Yeah.
with the machine drum or any other drum machines that I get. Routing it through the modular is definitely something that I didn't do before, and really enjoying now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's a blast. I mean, a machine drum still sounds like shit by itself. It needs processing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it sounds very plasticky.
That's not an uncommon.
Some of the machines
machine.
sound like cardboard. You know, they
Right,
always
right,
have. And
yeah.
that was part of the charm of it.
That's not an uncommon drum machine problem, though. I mean,
That one especially, though.
Yeah.
God, some of the horrors that I evoked with that fucking thing in a live situation.
Yeah. I mean, like, comparing the sound engines to, like, the Rhythm Mark II, for example.
Yeah,
Fucking different world entirely.
totally.
But yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the shitty digital machines for what they are.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I can get some interesting sounds out of them, especially once I start routing it through, you know, compression and overdrive, and you know, giving it, you know, running it through analog processing, basically.
Yeah.
You know, helps add some magic to those shitty digital machines.
Yeah. That's why it's definitely, you getting one is definitely incited the lust again, because I think I could wield it much more effectively now
Mhm.
than I could like 10 years ago or whenever the fuck that was.
Yeah. Yeah, now that I'm shifting the modular to be more processing and not like an all, you know, encompassing synth voice /
Yeah,
drum
yeah,
machine and all that,
right.
like, you know, if I just focus it on like processing, it's definitely shining a bit more for me.
Yeah, those FM hats are pretty special though. There's
Yeah.
just some interesting magic in there.
Yeah, for sure. And not even the model cycles can like compete with it, which
No.
it was from what we understand, you know, it was designed to try and emulate some of that.
Right.
Just doesn't quite hit it, you know.
Not that I've heard.
No. The cycles inspired me too when I had one. I was like, yeah, I should get a machine drum again someday, because this is like close, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is a cool machine. I can definitely see one to accommodate my machine drum now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially like the unique features of that box, like the kick and the chord machines stood out for me, you know, and those would go along with the machine drum pretty nicely, I think.
Yeah, that'd be a fun live rig. That and some
Yeah.
pedals, you could fuck some shit up.
All right. So is that it for Elektron Corner?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time focusing on the machine drum. You know what I mean? It's a 20-year-old box, you know?
Right. I mean,
You don't know what it does by now,
we revisited the past and dug up old artifacts before. You know.
but the new OS, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely loaded on there. it's risk. It's worth the risk brick in your box, I think, to just have that much more functionality out of it. You know.
Fuck yeah, I'd do it too.
And some of those new voices were pretty chiptune-y. You know what I mean? Like that's not what I was trying to do, but just fucking around, I was like, oh, I just made some interesting little chiptune stuff. Again, reminding me of like Mono Machine.
Right.
And I was like, okay, this is cool because I don't think there will ever be a Mono Machine 2. But if the machine drums, which are far more common, you can get you into slightly Mono Machine territory. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool because like there's 16 fucking tracks on there. You know, and it's like you're hardly ever gonna use all of those in one drum patch. You know what I mean? So you can use other tracks now to do other things with those machines, which is cool, and route them out individually. And you know, you got a drum machine and a synth all in one box. It's pretty cool, and that's where I'm standing on it.
Now, do you want to have an outro? So you had the sort of dramatic intro with exposition.
I want to say Erico Synth needs to step it up. Like, if, you know, with the LXR, like that would have been my go-to drum machine right now had they taken it just a little further.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to call something a Mark II, you got to do more than just add sliders to it, in my opinion.
Agreed. Yeah.
There needs to be some significant improvements to the firmware itself. And I'm hoping they'll come in the future.
I mean, the Sonic Potions is not going to deliver it. There's at least now hope that Erica is going to actually do that.
Yeah. If you have the second one, though, you're missing out on the probability on the sub steps. That's a lot of fun variation there.
Yeah.
Hopefully
the
they
lack
add
of
that.
the micro steps and the sub steps. Like, that was my favorite thing about the Mark I.
Totally.
Sequencing on there.
Use the shit out of that.
Using it as a sequencer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not there now on the Mark II. And it's like, okay. So you're actually losing some pretty important features by going to the Mark II, in my opinion.
That's what I just realized with the machine drum, too. I could just sequence it from the rhythm now that it has MIDI out.
Yeah.
Use probability there.
Yep.
Because it's got the good MIDI in spec.
And sequencing it is a fucking breeze, man. Like, I hate menu diving, and, you know, on all the Elektron machines, I've always hated going into that MIDI config page. You know what I mean? And like, but with the machine drum, I forgot how simple it is. It's like, okay, you're going to accept clock, you're going to accept program change, you're going to accept note data. That's a wrap. You know what I mean? It was like pretty straightforward. I was able to just start sequencing away with the tracker without issue. Basically, every track on the machine drum is associated with a whole note starting at C3 and going up. So you just send it note data and you're triggering each machine.
Yeah.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So I can essentially program every track on there if I wanted on a single track in the tracker by, you know, with the note sequences, you know, it would get a little chaotic, but it could be done. You know,
run out of
what I mean?
bandwidth at some point, but like you could do it.
So like if I wanted to do that live, for example, I could essentially just have an entire track on the poly end handling the machine drum and all the other tracker channels doing tracker stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Hell of a setup.
Yeah.
Do you use the control all machines much?
No.
Yeah.
I never did.
Yeah.
And so far I haven't had any reason to again. Because I've never really wanted to perform with a machine drum. It's always been a studio tool to me. And I, you know what I mean? I've never really wanted to sit there and tweak out on it. You know, maybe if I had like one of those, what is it? Like the micro command. Is that what they were called?
Mini commands.
Mini command. That's it. Something like that to open up that type of shit a little more, or like a, what is it? Like a fader fox. Type of interface to just, you know, have some sliders and shit to work with, and maybe I would care more about them. But yeah, I've never really messed with those.
Do you want a half broken BCR 2000?
No.
I can't. What do I have to do to get you?
Do you want to just have? I was the U.S. distributor for the mini commands. I'll let you borrow mine.
Oh, you have one?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, I think I have. I might have two. I'll check.
Dude, even when you used to use those, I didn't fully understand what they did. I remember you tried to explain to me, and I was just kind of like, I didn't know. Like, I was like, so if you could, because I'm an idiot,
Yeah.
What the fuck do they do?
It's a good question because on the outside of it, it's just an Arduino that you can program to do anything. That he made some hardware that's specific for that, and then he made some libraries that make it easy to work with the Machinedrum. But the thing that was specific that he built into it was really about looping with that device and making it so you could have it trigger the RAM machine. That's what it was, right? User wave RAM machine, and just have it like do looping, and you could have it start and stop the loop perfectly-ish. So you could use it like a looper,
looping?
almost like an Octatrack in a way. So you could use that RAM machine buffer to loop like the whole output of the machine and like
the
chop
MIDI
it up.
command is recording audio?
No, it's sending MIDI to it in such a way that it's manipulating the RAM machine. And he even got Elektron to change some of their MIDI spec to accommodate this at the time, so that you could trigger those RAM machine recording on and off states, and you could sample from internally within the machine. Like,
for the inputs on the Machinedrum.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like, no, just through like, it could sample the output. That's how the RAM machines worked. Like, you could have it tap from the output of the device and just record what was going on in the output.
Weird.
Yeah. So like, there were the ROM machines and the RAM machines. The ROM machines where you just put your samples for playback, and the RAM machines where you could do the loop. This just made it easier to work with the RAM machines.
See, I never fucked with the samples on them much to begin with, which is why I have such limited understanding of them.
Because it's kind of a pain in the ass, which is why he made the thing to be like, oh, so I can use this live. Like, in his use case, I think at the time was sample what's going on so I can offload the machine, kind of like I do with that Boss 505. So I can like edit something else and then go back.
Interesting. Weird.
Oh yeah, and it would persist the RAM machine. That was the trick. You could switch patterns and the RAM machine would still go and be reflected in the next pattern because you only had one buffer. So you could loop what you were doing, go to the next pattern, keep that loop playing, and then build up sequence too.
Weird.
Which you couldn't do before the mini command because it would have been like weird SysEx, and he like got some SysEx stuff added.
It's not at all what I thought those did. I thought they were like adding additional like MIDI control.
It does that too.
Okay.
That was one of the other firmwares.
Gotcha.
The main one was the looping, and the other firmware was just adding control for the delay, which was super useful because you could just manipulate the delay parameters without having to go to the effects menu.
Okay.
So I would use that one a little more. But in the end, I just
effects
didn't.
of that are kind of buried.
Yeah. And that was just more SysEx too, because I don't think there were CCs for the. I don't know why, for like the delay time.
I haven't
and shit
looked
like
into
that.
CCs yet, which is something I need to look into with to really utilize the tracker to sequence it more. I did with the model sample, or I'm sorry, the model cycles. I was sending that thing both MIDI data and CC data from the tracker to that, and it worked out really well. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Haven't even got that far with the Machinedrum
Because
I don't even know if
that
it's possible.
firmware added the CC shit, I think. That
Okay.
X.04. Because before that, I think it was mostly SysEx. And
Gotcha.
that was the main thing of the mini command was like SysEx translation to CC, or, vice versa. That was
Interesting.
one other thing it would do. And this is a long time ago, so I barely remember it. But
Yeah.
I still have the big box in my basement that like all
Okay.
that shit came in.
Yeah, I knew you had involvement with it. And I remember you explained to me back in the day when you still had a Machinedrum what they did, and that one was, and I think they worked for the mono machine too.
Yeah, they eventually someone
I remember. I think that's why we were talking about it in the first place.
took it over now. They have like a super version of it, which uses like hardware you can actually find and does more stuff. I think it actually maybe he might have even done his own Turbo MIDI implementation too. He was one of the few. Because you can't get those. Those are apparently super rare now.
I
the
don't
Turbo
have
MIDI
it. The guy that I
boxes.
bought the Machinedrum from did not include it.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'll be trying to upload any custom samples to mine anytime
It's
soon.
painful without it.
Yeah.
But I definitely did it before I had one. But it took like a half an hour to send like 2 megs of data to it or something. Like
Yeah.
that.
I don't have the patience for that. And again, I haven't really fucked with samples much on the Machinedrum itself. The magic for me is the synthesis on that thing. You know what I mean?
With the Machinedrum, I agree.
If I need samples in a drum machine, I have my Taraz, or I
Right.
would just buy like a model sample or something.
Yeah.
And pair it with the Machinedrum, probably.
I totally agree with that.
Um,
Even that RAM machine stuff was kind of flaky, like the looping, or it would click, and it was just like it wasn't the jam. The Octatrack did it better, but not really.
you're gonna be getting one, aren't you?
Oh yeah,
You're gonna do
like
it.
I don't even want to see yours. Like, I don't want to be around it. I will at some point be like, just let me use it for a couple minutes to see if it. But that's gonna go.
It's charming, man. I still like the interface on it.
I spent so much time with one of those.
I know you did.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of time. It was all I used for a while.
I'm still surprised you don't have one. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you got the rhythm and shit and you have for a while, but yeah, like when I think Machinedrum or Octatrack or even an MPC, like you pop up in my head like immediately. You know what I mean? Like,
no, if they weren't like, it's just crazy. I've been looking at the prices on Reverb.
It's a little insane.
You got a good deal for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a lengthy Elektron corner.
It was.
No, it was fantastic, and it was generally positive. This was not our normal corner.
Well, you've been quiet for a while, Dave. Why don't you take the mic?
I mean,
what do we got?
I got nothing. I have no specific corner. This is just me in the middle of the room, maybe sitting on a stool.
Maybe you need an Erica corner. You've got maybe the most Erica gear.
There could be an Erica. I'm a stand for Erica. Like, I'm a huge fan of all the stuff they've done. This is weirdly, like, depending on where you are, really exciting or really boring. The Matrix mixer game just popped out of nowhere, and within like an hour of like looking at it, reading what it did, there's one video out there. It's like, oh, this is exactly what I need. Ordered it right there.
That's literally what it's called, right? Like the Erica Matrix mixer.
Yep.
It doesn't have a fancy name.
Nope.
No.
Had no hype. It just appeared.
Zero hype.
Dropped it.
Absolutely, just out of the blue, Ninja release. And it was weird too. It was all around the time of the LXR2 hype. So they were like, it. I don't know if it came out before or was going to come out, but like the videos for the LXR2 had like already come out. There was like basically like excitement for that, and then, which I was like, oh, that's cool. But I just beelined over to the weird little Matrix mixer thing that they did. So it's 16 by 16 grid of 16 in, 16 out. The back has dedicated 1/4-inch stereo out pair and dedicated 1/4-inch stereo in that are normal to the first two ins and the first two outs. So if you basically just plug those in, they override what's there. And it's really simple to set up. You just have two knobs, one for scrolling left to right. The other one scrolls up and down. One, and they're both you push in. The one you push, it just turns it on and off, binary. The other one is an attenuator, and it's got multiple levels of attenuation, and you cycle through them.
So is this exactly like their pin matrix on the Centrix?
That is exactly what it is.
Like
and
exactly?
It even
Okay.
says in the manual that was like, this was both influenced by and because of the work they had done with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can save a number of presets, bounce between them real easily. There's random, and you've got control over what random does. It solves a shitload of problems. You can, again, your rack is modular, so like you can have ins be audio rate, modulation rate, hitting random and just having the whole thing just sort of reconstitute itself and make these new connections.
Yeah.
Absolutely a blast.
Yeah, you can like set the square that you want to have randomized,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
is
that's
cool
cool.
in the Matrix. So you can be like, just give me the top 4.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Randomize
like a
those.
Big Daddy version of the WMD. What's it called?
Sequential switch
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
matrix
Shit.
SSM. Yeah, sequential switch matrix. I
Yeah,
think.
that
Oh.
guy. So it's essentially like that, just much bigger and
Yeah, you
standalone,
can
basically.
because you get those presets and you can program change through them, MIDI program change,
Yep.
which is pretty cool. And you get like the whole grid of presets, which is almost too much. And it's DC coupled and buffered, so
Yeah.
like you can.
route
I love it just
CV
for like
through it.
volt per octave. Put it in there, and it's so easy to like. Even I like when I go back to use it, it's not confusing. I'm like, oh yeah, you're the volt per octave, and you go out of H, and you're going there. So it's like really easy to like get familiar with it again. It's not like a big mess.
Cool.
Oh, and yeah, and one thing I didn't mention about the rhythm, I've got the 1/4-inch out on the back just going to the rhythm CV input, which is fucking awesome
Oh,
because I can
nice.
just take any modulator from the modular send it to the rhythm.
Forgot it
now.
had CV in.
Yeah,
That's
which
pretty
is
cool.
huge. It gets around the second LFO thing. It makes it a little nicer.
Yeah.
At least you've got like 2 other things you can send to stuff for sound design, which is tight.
Yeah, but now it's like, sort of the central mixer for all of my stuff now. It's just kind of sitting in the middle there. And I mean, the obvious being able to route for feedback looping.
Yeah, that was
Ends
about
up
to be my
really
next
nice.
question.
Yeah, it
Definitely.
sets
I
it
would
up.
like to hear a little bit about that.
I mean,
For that.
it's perfect for that. I mean, you have the 4 levels of attenuation, so you can sort of, you can't dial it in exactly what you want with attenuation, but I mean, you still have pretty good control
That's what
over it.
concerned me, because I mean, feedback patching, mixing, I should say, really sensitive. You know what I mean? Like, you got to feel that out. And I didn't see if you would be able to dial in carefully enough to do proper feedback patching on there.
No.
But you're saying it's enough?
See, our version of proper might be different, because for me, I've had...
But just being able to, like, fine tune it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
with feedback, it's so touchy. Sometimes just a hair to the right is, too much. It's going off the rails,
It begs for a bank of input attenuators, because that
Gotcha.
solves it
Okay.
all. And in some ways, like with the size of the box, I guess they might have been afraid to make it more expensive.
Sure.
Or like it's buffered and they don't want to have people like, have that fuck up the buffering circuit at all. I don't know if that's the case or not, but yeah, it kind of begs for like input attenuation
Gotcha. Okay.
for feedback purposes.
But it hasn't really... I've had pretty good success with the feedback the way it is now.
Fuck yeah.
Also having random and then making those connections that I didn't necessarily think of right away. And now I'm like, oh, that was a good idea. Thanks, machine.
I love to, like, I seem like I use it in chunks. Like these first 4 will just be like fancy buffered mults basically. And then the next like 4 will be feedback shit. And then 2 more for the rhythm. They're kind of always at like 1, 2, just to use those 1/4 inch outputs. So it's kind of, I like how you can do like different shit with it very easily.
I'm tempted to check one out.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was out yet, and you guys already had them on pre-order. I was like, damn. I was like, okay, I need to look into this more, but just haven't had a chance.
Yeah, we both latched onto that announcement. It was the LXR2 came out, and we both saw the Matrix mixer. We're like, fuck.
Yeah, it solves a lot of problems, and I think they executed it almost flawlessly.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing too is I used it for video, and it works
Oh yeah,
perfectly
that
fine.
Great.
Yeah, I was really excited about being able to take someone like, I don't have 4 prismatic rays. I don't have, like it's one of those things where like I have a pretty small set of video modules, and being able to take that and kind of go like, okay, now you're being routed here. You're now being copied again and routed out as a different colorizer. But now that version of the colorizer is going to then be mixed with this LFO, or that's now going to the staircase, and having like these were routing options that I could have with a bunch of cables and a bunch of attenuators and a bunch of mults.
Yeah.
Recreated that, but it would have taken forever. This now, and also it limits the experimenting that you can do with it, because you're like, okay, I spent an hour and I set all this up. Well, it didn't work. Shit. Now having all of these sitting in there and just kind of like mapping them out and making those connections in the Matrix mixer allows for just so much more faster experimenting. So yeah, for video artists out there that are listening, I recommend if you want it for that.
Yeah, and it doesn't give a fuck about the volt difference.
Not
It's just
even a
gonna
little.
Send what you send in out. Which
Exactly.
Is awesome.
Yep.
I like that they made it kind of simple. Because I've had a few other, like the maze I had from Livestock Electronics, and sold that on because it was just too much of a head fuck to use. It had some cool features, and then like the WMD SSM has always been interesting.
I don't think I'm going to take the Matrix mixer out. I think it is for just at home.
Yeah,
I don't know how well it would really work live.
That's the stuff that fucks with my head when they even suggest like, oh, you could build like a whole performance so that you have this one patch that you're just mutating with the Matrix mixer. I don't know if that sounds like a good time to me. It just kind of does my head in. I don't know, maybe other people are different, I'm sure, but I don't want to try to make that work. I don't want to be limited in that way. Giving up a lot of decisions at that point that I don't really want to when I'm making stuff.
If anyone's listening and it caught your eye and you're on the fence, I say you jump over the fence.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Love it.
Was there anything else for Elektron? I mean, I'm sorry, for Erica. What are we calling this?
The Erica corner.
We already have a corner. I mean, there's other areas.
Erica breakfast nook.
Erica Breakfast Nook. I love it. That's all I have for the Erica Breakfast Nook.
Yeah, Sam. You don't have too much else. Those are my 2 main things.
I had the Triptych on my list. That's the only thing else. I can dip into that a bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
All right, fine.
All right.
Trip ticket.
The SSF Triptych. We
So
mentioned.
That's a reference to like the AAA triptych, right?
What?
Triptychs.
Triptychs?
No, that's not a reference to that.
It's definitely a reference.
Tickertron? Live from the garden?
What?
Like the triptych.
Oh.
RTJ?
Yeah.
Live from the garden?
No, so I'm thinking like
Three-panel artwork.
like the thing like AAA would do, where you would say like I want to go from here to here, and this is the days before, navigation and your TomToms and your map quests and what have you, and you would get a triptych, and it would tell you where to go and how to get there.
Sure they did, Grandma. Is it when you would go on a trip and if you didn't do it in enough time, they would put ticks on you and give you Lyme disease?
So I even looked it up.
Uh-huh.
And AAA, the first thing AAA from their own website, why AAA Triptych is the ultimate road trip planner.
Well, I'll be damned. This man speak of the true.
Neither of you have, A, you didn't believe me. Why would I make that up? And B, you didn't have a triptych? You didn't travel via?
Never. I've never heard of such a thing.
You never even heard of this?
No.
He's right, of course.
Wow.
Triptych.
Yeah, and that's what I assume that's what this module's named after.
Maybe it is.
So that's super important that we get the answer to that before we move forward. But I would say maybe we could move forward.
I thought it was a play off of like the fact that it's 3 major circuits, and it was also a collaboration of 3 people. As we've discussed in the past, it was Steady State Fate in collaboration with Derek Basek and Boys Noise.
That's 3.
So that's 3. That's a trio. So I'm thinking trip is short for like triple.
The try 3.
Yes.
Triangle 3 ankles.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you buy it, the 3
and the
of
Masons
them will tell you where to go.
are controlling the water supply. So the tick is what happens when your brain goes from all the chemicals in the water and the chemtrails, and you start to get the twitches. So trip, tick. See, it's black and white, Dave. You just got to read between the lines. It's all there.
I can't believe they're putting it out there like that. Because
Right.
normally the Freemasons are a little bit more
Hiding in plain sight.
a little cagier
Right.
than that. Yeah, that's too obvious. This is like an even shittier Dan Brown short story than the one we had before.
While he was tripping, too.
What was I talking about?
Uh,
SSF Triptych.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So, previous episode, mentioned it was a little pricey. Didn't seem all that appealing to me. But I
Wait.
got one,
But wait,
and here we are.
Here we are.
I can't believe it. That's never happened before on this show.
Never.
We don't
Never.
work that way.
Never happened where we shit on something and then later bought it and loved it. It's very unusual.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say I love it.
Oh,
I like it.
Mm.
It fills a gap in my modular now that I've trimmed it down. Because like I said, it's essentially 3 circuits, right? You got your filter, you got your distortion circuit, and you got your delay / comb circuit, right? Like individually, I would say the 3 of them are not that great. And then of course you got your high gain input VCA and high gain output VCA.
right.
Okay.
To wrap it all up into a nice package. But yeah, individually I'm not too impressed by any of the 3 circuits, but together they sort of form like a cohesive flavor of audio destruction that is kind of unique and I'm kind of enjoying.
Do you get the impression that this was designed that way, that maybe not intended to be used individually?
I do. I get that vibe, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it is a little expensive. You know, it's $400. Some people might look at that and be like, well, you know, I'm getting like 3 modules and 1 out of it. I'm getting a filter. I'm getting a BBD delay / chorus / comb, and, you know, I'm getting a multi-mode distortion. But like, you're not going to really, at least I'm not going to be routing into each of those things to try and get like, I don't know, use out of each circuit individually. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like a all-in-one approach. Like they all work hand in hand nicely once you fine tune it.
And what kind of control do you have over that fine tuning?
You get a decent amount of control. Not as much control as you would if you were to like just buy separate modules to do those things, which is kind of like, that was my initial thought too. Is like, you know, I already know what delays, you know, module I want after or pre-distortion. I already know what distortion modules I have or want. I already know what filters I want to use in that destructive manner. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know, if you're trying to go for a more compact approach like I am now, having separate modules to do all those things to just fuck up audio be a lot
Sounds like
inexpensive.
a dark matter situation in a way, where it's like all these
it's a shortcut.
things individually
Yes,
are not special in any way,
exactly.
but
And
here they are.
That's kind of what I hated about the dark matter too. It was like, well, I can already do this with, you know, XYZ modules that I have. Now that I have smaller rig, I'm starting to see the appeal of these more, you know, all-in-one solutions, I should say. And that's definitely what it's going for. You know, it's meant to be used with all of them together. And you can change internally how they're routed with a push of a button, which is nice. Like,
That's cool.
Like, do you want the filter pre-distortion or post? You know, do you want the comb filter pre or post-distortion?
Is there any feedback options, or is it?
There is feedback for the BBD circuit, like regen, basically. So you can crank that up, and that's essentially like feedbacking. You know what I mean? But there is no internal like feedback loop routing or anything like that. You have to do that externally. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a destruction module through and through. I'm enjoying it. It allows like creative sculpting in like a pretty industrial way, you know, which I dig.
Do you have a wide variety of tones and like one of the problems sometimes you get with like something like that is, well, it does this and that's it.
That's kind of it. I mean, you have a good amount of control. I feel like even though the distortion has two different modes, it still sounds similar overall. You know what I mean? You're not getting a lot of different flavors of distortion out of it. In fact, overall, I think the flavor and the tone is kind of muddy in a way that I don't like too much. But I'm also very fucking particular and picky when it comes to distortion.
Yes,
and overdriving.
Which we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe it's the bee's knees for somebody. For me, I feel like the distortion leaves a little bit to be desired, and I'm kind of using it in conjunction with some of my own personal distortions. But it does help add a little extra grit. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, so you're still using it?
The distortion circuit itself?
Yeah. Okay.
At mild settings,
Gotcha.
Just to add a little bit of extra grit on what I'm routing through it. Mainly, I just like using it, you know, in a modulating the shit out of it. You know what I mean? And kind of fucking up audio that way. Like on drums, I feel like it might be a little too muddy. I want to pre-filter before I route through it to actually get a little more surgical, because it just kind of like, I don't know, the mid-range seems to get like really fucking muddy very quickly. And it's kind of like, if you're going to try to run more than like a single drum through it at once, it's going to slop up your mix a bit too much. Synth lines, bass lines, acid going through it, a little more enjoyable, I think, than drums. Yeah, this wouldn't be my go-to for drum distortion, really, which is unfortunate because that's what I wanted it for.
Right.
I almost, because of how muddy and like one flavor the saturation distortion is, I kind of find myself splitting my path and using that as like, almost in like parallel processing with another, either a clean signal or like something else that's being processed differently along with it.
Yeah.
Going through it 100%, and only that, it's just, I don't know, doesn't please my ears. It's
So it sounds like you have a real mixed feelings about this.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I dig it. I could even see having a second one, but I feel like it's very specific what I want to get out of it, you know what I mean, or can get out of it, as opposed to being like, a very versatile fuck shit up module. Like
Yeah.
like even the BBD delay circuit, it has 2 different timings, but it's still very limited, even with the 2 different modes. It doesn't get as long as I would like to see. I would love to see it being able to like push it into longer, almost like glitched out time frames.
Gotcha. Yeah.
For example, like the old Flight of Harmony Sound of Shadows delay comes to mind. Like,
Oh yeah.
like you were able to push that one far into like beyond what the chip was supposed to do, you know, and it would get noisy and was good for destruction purposes, and glitchy stuff. And you could even push it further with CV, you know, and I would like to be able to do that with this, but it's even on the longer mode, it's still pretty short, in my opinion. It's better for like tight, almost car plus strong / chorusy flanger effects. But even in that regard, it's mono, you know what I mean? So you're not going to get like, you're not going to use this as a chorus module.
Right.
That's for sure. But at faster modulations, it's a nice touch to like help fuck up audio, you know, destructively. The description says that the clock of the delay circuit can be voltage controlled. I have yet to see how that's possible. I didn't read the manual, mind you.
So wait, is that like the CPU clock? Like
That's what I was trying to determine.
Like the ZDSP, where
like
you
a ZDSP or like what else? Like a chrono blob.
Oh, right,
You know what I mean? Where you can
Yeah,
like actually clock the delay time. I don't see any input for that, unless you utilize a different input that's labeled as something else to do that. I have not seen that. Maybe that just means being able to CV the switch between high and low timing. I don't know.
Now, did you look to see if there's a manual?
There is. I saw the link there for one, but I did not click it, Dave.
What?
Heavens, no.
I'd rather just,
Wow.
take a guess and feel it out. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think Triptych has grown on me a bit, and I am enjoying it. It allows like really fast and easy dialing in of specific flavored audio destruction. You know, it combines a lot of the elements that I already over time patched together to get destructive results. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a tight delay, a filter that, is capable of squeaking and, nice distortion and out a nice oversaturated VCA, all that stuff. It's all there. So, but it's just a matter of like personal preference, I guess, if you can handle the muddiness of it. I would have liked to have seen them use better op amps, I would say.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or different flavors of that distortion. Like that circuit, it switches between those two modes, which is what like one is, it seems to be like soft clipping or like the wave folding, which it wasn't described as wave folding, but from what I recall, it's similar to that. But
it's already a pretty expensive module.
yeah.
Like that's...
I was reading there's some dope for like older octal VCA. It's like 4 HP or something like that. But you can apparently like swap the chips out with almost like any VCA chip you want, and there's like an offset trimmer on the back of it, so you can like make them distort by default more or less than others.
Nice.
Saw that the other day, and like I didn't see one, but piqued my interest. It'd be kind of cool to have something a little more flexible, like try different op amps, like fuck around.
You did that on my old dope for A119.
Oh,
the
right,
envelope
right.
generator.
The
Yeah,
input thing,
I swapped out the chips on that, give it more headroom and a nicer crunch. I fucking hate muddy amps.
Yeah,
man.
dude, I did drive
muddy
me
delays,
nuts.
and this one is pretty muddy, and the distortion itself doesn't get. It doesn't have that like metallic crunch that I love to get out of something labeled as a distortion.
So you were looking at some analog voices.
I was.
Yeah. That 810 is definitely thumbs up.
Yeah.
System 8810.
Yeah, I was looking into that, and I was looking into Atlantis again.
Right.
So why is that? Because we've talked in the past about maybe being done or like kind of over analog and its limitations. So what is it that is changed your mind? What's brought you back?
It's not necessarily that it's analog. It's just I wanted like an all-in-one voice solution.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm lazy lately. I don't really want to go through the meticulous process of patching up a basic synth voice every time, and I don't have any all-in-one voice modules at the moment, or even any desktop synths really, except for like my Acid Box and things like that. Kind of, I don't know. I've been playing a lot with bass stuff lately, and I just kind of wanted like a nice, not 303-ish, but like a good like kind of grimy, techno-y bass type of machine or synth voice.
And in the past, you've sort of stayed away from modules that were all-in-one voices. You didn't really typically have that.
Because I always felt they're too limited, and I was like, what's the point? It's a modular.
Right.
You can patch up your own. But now, like, now that I'm feeling creative and I've downsized my stuff a bit, it's more appealing to me because I want to dial in what I'm trying to achieve faster and take up less space in my rig because now I have 2 cases instead of 3. So now I see the appeal of them more, whereas before they were kind of like, I just didn't really see it,
I think you might have been like me where I was like so wavetable focused for so long.
Yeah.
And now that I'm doing like more bass stuff with the modular and like thicker sounds, I'm really appreciating like, analog oscillators are fucking great for that.
Sometimes there's beauty in simplicity, and when it comes to bass, sometimes less is more, you know what I mean? You just want it to sound bassy and solid. You don't need a lot of bells and whistles when it comes to bassline stuff. So yeah, definitely. Whereas the digital stuff can get pretty crazy pretty quickly. Sometimes it's too much. It's not ideal unless you're making like some sort of like really techie bass dubstep type of shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I was using the Neutron orgone last night, which I like, is awesome, but it can't really like do bass very well. And I have the first one, and there's maybe some technical reason why that is, but it was getting some good high end, but I couldn't get a bass out of it. And then I'd swap some stuff around, and I put the Pittsburgh Voltage Lab back in because that's one thing it does very well. And I was like, okay, yeah, like that oscillator circuit is great for that. So just been enjoying my analog oscillators a lot.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of videos. And it's like, especially the Analog Solutions, the Lipzig version 3 just came out. And last time I was up in Toronto in Moog Audio, I was playing with the previous version of that, and I almost walked out with it. You know what I mean? I was really into it. It just has like almost like an MS-20, type of distortion like vibe to it. It just sounds good and grimy and kind of, I don't want to say the word lo-fi, but it's definitely not lo-fi. Like, it sounds fucking quality, but it also sounds just kind of
it's not
dirty.
It's not overly
it's
produced.
Not clean.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of spice on it, it's got a distinct flavor. And I feel like most of his stuff does, you know what I mean? But a lot of it is too much for me, both price-wise and machine-wise. But the Lipzig just looks kind of like just what I would want out of like a bass synth,
Is that standalone? That's not a module, right? Yeah.
No, it's standalone. It's got its own sequencer.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's like only 8-step, I think, but you can do some nifty stuff with it.
So are you thinking about getting it, or are you just looking at it with?
I'm just window shopping right now with
So short of that, then, what would be something you would be inclined to actually maybe pursue?
Something probably half the price. Like an Atlantis, for example.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Or I wish they didn't go so high in prices, but I really miss my 101.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I had a 101 right now. So, like, I would take whatever is as close to that as possible, I guess, and still fun. Like, I had the SH01A, which was cool, but I don't know. It was so tiny, and I just didn't.
Very small.
I wasn't jabbing with it really. I want something that, I don't know. I just want something a little more than that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Something you could like really beat someone to death with, like a weapon, like Greg in the library with the 101. Like that's how that game of Clue ends.
Yes.
Yeah. So Nick, you were talking about the System 80 voice.
Oh yeah.
Have you put that back in?
It's always been in. Okay. I didn't know I got I have the Mark II of the 860, which is the Jove filter, what that's called now, on the way. And so I was like, just refocused on that this weekend, playing the 810, because I was like, oh, do I really need this around? Could I downsize? Could I swap something out? And I would only do that, I think, if you could still get the oscillator that they sell, because the VCA on it is like great. It's a VCA. It's not the most attractive part to me. It does like 2-in mixing, but that's not like essential. But the oscillator sounds fucking great, and I like all the stuff that I've ever recorded with it. So it's kind of a keeper, and I wouldn't be mad at having like 2 of those filters around too. Even though the 810, like I said on a previous episode, it's just low pass only. And I really was missing the high pass of the Jupiter too. So yeah, I'm psyched for that. But yeah, love both of them. I've got Spot right now, so I can just slide it next to it. And then the Voltage Lab is to the left of both of those two. So it should be a super nice analog row at the bottom of the Mantis.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty psyched for it.
As of right now, I don't have any analog oscillators.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, everything's digital.
I don't either. And I think that might be why I'm kind of leaning towards one now, finally. And I kind of like the fact that if I had the Atlantis, I could also enhance it with routing and digital into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To give it a little extra flavor. I had that Atlantis a while back, but at the time, like, I just didn't have the need for it, and it felt like too big and too expensive. Yeah, it's a very brief period. It was when I was trying to find a replacement to the 101, and it wasn't there for me. You know what I mean? But like now, especially with how much a 101 costs, I think it's acceptable. I would make do with it. And
did they do a Mark II of that, or did
Nope.
they just change the panel, I guess?
yeah, they just updated the panel, from what I know. I don't think anything circuit-wise has been updated with it since its release. And I think it's gone up in price as well over time. I think it's about $650 now, something like that.
Is that new, or is that just like, are they still making it? Okay.
Can't find it used right now because of the new Mylar Melodies episode that just came out showing off the Metropolix with it.
Oh.
Now, all of a sudden, you can't get a Metropolix or an Atlantis. They're just gone.
Shocked.
Yeah. But in his, that was a good video. I think in the last episode, or maybe it was the one before that we did, I mentioned that he just kind of shills now more than he used to. But this was like Mylar's return to form. You know what I mean? Doing what I think he does best, and that's just jamming on IntelliGel gear, making neat little techno acid jams. You know what I mean? Which is essentially all that video was. You know what I mean? There's definitely a technical overview element of it. He explained some things, and that was cool. But like mainly, it was just him wilding out, making some decent modular acid and showing off what he could do. And it was like, cool. Like that was, I think, how most people came to know him in the first place, was the original Metropolis video. You know what I mean? That was solid. So this was a good sequel to that. I mean, granted, he was strongly shilling for IntelliGel at the same time. Who can blame him? They gave him a free Metropolix, so whatever.
Yeah. It's hard to argue with. The last year when there was a chip shortage that affected the 810, they were like, I don't know if I'm going to do this module again. They were just going to focus on the Jove, and that was it. So who knows if they're going to produce it. But yeah, I couldn't find any or even see any recent sold listings.
Yeah, I think that's common with almost everything right now. Like anything that it was like, oh, maybe I'll buy one. And I go to look for it, and it's just gone. Yeah. There's nothing to be found.
Nope.
This chip shortage is no joke. We were talking to Russ from Evaton Technologies over the weekend, and like he was having trouble sourcing stuff even for his range of stuff, and
it was interesting to hear his take on it. You know what I mean? From someone like in the industry, shed a lot of light on things I wasn't aware of. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be over anytime soon. From what he was saying.
No. He was even having trouble talking about even doing like replacements or like changing the design, doing something different. Like that wasn't even necessarily going to solve the problem.
You did mention possibly like a new renaissance for older school gear and like desktop boxes that can be made, a lot easier than using the super, super tiny components that most things rely on today. But
yeah, using those big chips that are actually still available, and maybe coming at them with a different idea or coming up with a different view, taking them on slightly differently. I I hope he's not the only person who has that idea, and even if it ends up being like a bigger box, because those parts and all of their everything to design around them is going to take up a lot more space. But if it's that or literally nothing, because this the super small stuff just can't be done.
Yeah,
I'd rather have something going on.
Yeah, I saw IntelliJ had to rev the Rainmaker just because so they could get a different graphics chip.
Oh, really?
For the little display, and so they had to redo it just to accommodate for that, just so they could keep making them.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And I want this thing. I'm not going to get it just because, but the fake devilfish from Behringer, that's been pushed out like maybe until 2022 now.
Oh, no
last
shit.
I saw, because it was like coming soon, and then I just saw something where somebody says one of the parts was maybe harder to get now.
Right.
That's the thing with Behringer. Like, they've made so many fucking announcements over the last couple of years, and like almost none of them have seen the light of day. Like, we're still waiting for the ARP 2600, or the BARPs, I should say.
But other companies, I mean, they're dealing with the shortage, or at least had some kind of plan. Because look at like Erica announced the LXR2 and the Matrix Mixer, and they both came out. And like it's
with the announcement, pretty much. Yeah. Like, they announced it, and then like days later, you were able to buy it.
Right. And so Behringer's just doing the opposite, which is here's a million things that we'll never actually do.
And I kind of hate that, because if there's something that if the marketing works and I end up wanting it, like, it's not something, I want to act on that impulse and buy then, because that's how I roll. I hate having to, I don't know, wait, because by then my interest will wane, and it's just whatever.
Yeah.